Are you afraid of spiders?
I am. Actually, I'm more afraid of lizards than spiders. But
You know what my thing is? Mice. And it's not I'm not afraid of the mouse itself, it's the scurrying of
oh
the
yeah,
mouse.
yeah.
It's just ugh, it's just disgusting. So if so let's say we're Dr. Ferrugia, Jean-Rico comes in and he wants to have a conversation with us. And a snake, spider, mouse
Oh, that's a
comes
deadly
into that's,
combination.
walks into the room. What do we do?
I would run screaming, I guess.
Would you?
Yeah.
No.
Or I might freeze. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
easy.
So for me, I'm
Yeah.
trying to be cool,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to try to hold it together as much as I can, and right. So that is cognitive control,
Right.
right?
It depends on how big those things are.
Yeah, that is true.
Because that's a scary
But if it's
monster.
all
But
if it's all combined into one thing, that's pretty scary, right? So cognitive control really is looking at the big hairy spiders and being able to take a step back and recognize that you do have some control over certain things, like how you feel about the spider, right? How when you've used cognitive control, how have you used this in sessions that you've been?
So it is starting with those examples of things that you have this innate fear of, and there's this uncontrollable reaction. But then what you do with that initial reaction, I think, is where the control piece comes in. Because if you are aware of what your reaction might be to this, you can preempt your behavior and how you think about it, and then how you feel about it.
Yeah, yeah. And so cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, many of you may have heard of that. Cognitive behavior therapy has three parts, and it says that our emotions plus our thoughts influence our behavior. And so when we think about having this cognitive control, it really is about this emotional intelligence, right? So not only being able to read a situation from another person's point of view, but also for me to recognize what my emotional state is given a particular situation. And then how do I walk myself through my thought process to a space where I can be effective, right? And so, and then that eventually leads to my behaviors. And this it's not a linear process. It's not a set of Legos that we build on top of. It's really an organic process. And so, but just taking the step to recognize that I may have an illusion of knowledge, that I may be operating in an unconscious bias, and then asking the question, well, what do I do about that, guides the conversation around our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors.
And this is not to say that if you sit an hour and sit and write down all your biases that you think you've discovered, that you will be able to handle every situation, in a controlled manner, like he thinks he'll do if a monster walks in. But it is about being aware that these are things that you might have to keep working at, and to recognize that if I know my emotions are not something that I can control right away, but the minute I feel something, I can think these thoughts, maybe positive thoughts, to counter it rationally, and that will affect my behavior. That's how we would recommend approaching it.
Yeah. Because we are Homo sapiens sapiens, right? The ones who know we exist. We have metacognition. That is one of the things that supposedly sets us apart from other animals in this animal kingdom that we live in. And so we have to use our metacognition, our thinking about our thinking. Otherwise, I would suggest we're probably not fully human if we're not thinking. So
I think we have it. If you
that's
have
it.
any questions or anything around this conversation, again, please reach out.
Thanks.